been southbound, I've been hellbound, riding on the midnight train. Going too fast now, think I'll slow down, standing in the pouring rain.
What's going on, guys? Tristan and Tony back with another episode of the One Hell of a Life Outdoor Podcast, and it is April 3rd, and we're here to talk some turkeys with Matt Carey, which is, I think, the third time we've had him on the podcast, and it's kind of cool because over the progression that we've had Matt on, I feel like we've kind of done three different things. You know, the first time it was all kind of centered around, like, social media tips and, like, camera tips, because, I mean, if you guys have seen Matt's content, he's a talented guy. And the second time was kind of geared around that talent that led him to win the Shin music, or the music festival, the video festival with that film he did with Gunner. Now we're talking turkeys and his turkey journey. So it's kind of cool just to talk three different things with you, Matt. And we're excited to have you on tonight and learn a little bit more about all your turkey ups and downs.
Yeah, dude, you like, I don't know. I mean, I get to learn a lot for you, and I don't have to pay you nothing. It's good stuff, man. No, super excited to have you on, man. And you're an intriguing guy, dude. And how you go about doing what you do, and now you're on this new journey that we're going to talk about tonight is super exciting. And just love having you on. You're a great guest. Thanks for taking time.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. So you, I guess, just kind of rolling right into it. You just, before we get going,
yeah, some folks might not.
Matt, for people that haven't listened, aren't familiar with the other podcasts, will you just give like a minute or two commercial about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm a commercial photographer in the outdoor industry, videographer as well. I claim photography because that's my first love and all of that, but I have gotten into video, and I really just love telling stories. So really, however I get to do that, as long as it's a good story. But yeah, I work with all sorts of different hunting brands, and just like to partner with cool people and do cool stuff. I try not to work with people I don't love their products, or if I don't love their products. So
does that mean you like us?
Oh yeah, I would be. I would. You know, it's almost dinner time here. I mean, I wouldn't be wasting my time if I didn't like you guys.
Well, he probably wouldn't have came back for a second or third podcast for sure.
Well, I'm kind of feeling like that kid, you know, when you're in grade school and you're like, dude, that's a popular kid. I want to hang out with him.
No, but we really appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
I see recently you just took off down to Florida and smacked you a turkey down there, huh?
Oh yeah. It was a battle, but we got it done.
That's awesome. Did you go all the way down to South Florida, or were you more like different part of the state?
Pretty much Central Florida, without giving too much information, because we did hunt public land, and I'm not going to spot name for the sake of the land because it's already crowded enough. But we were pretty much Central Florida. Great, beautiful property. So many turkeys, so much opportunity. I mean, it was awesome.
Wow, dude. And now you were chasing Osceolas?
Yep.
Right on. And just so, if you're listening to this and you're not from Florida, Osceola turkeys can be found throughout the entire state.
No.
That's a joke. I was trying to throw them off, Tristan. I was trying to keep people north. No, I'm just kidding. No, but everybody, if you turkey hunt enough, I mean, you know that's one of the most sought after turkeys, and definitely a unique region to you. And one of the best things about it is it's out of the gates. It's the first season that's open.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great way to kick off things for sure.
Yeah, man. So without further ado, dude.
Yeah, tell us about which.
Tell us what it was like from start to scratch. Like I want to hear a little bit more. You know, so many times when we talk about a story, we hear about, well, you know, I went out there, scouted, hunted, blah. Dude, I want to hear about, like, the preparation. Like,
well, before you get into that, Matt, just a little, if you want to, give a little background on kind of what the whole mission is. What you were telling us off air with this, this turkey season.
Oh yeah. So, the idea kind of came together to attempt a single season Grand Slam. And for those of you listening, you may be familiar. If you're not familiar with the Grand Slam, the whole thing about that is killing all 4 of the most common subspecies of turkeys in the U.S. So first off, that's the Osceola. Then we got the Eastern wild turkey. We got the Rio Grande, and then we got Merriam's right out west. Mm-hmm. So this came about. I mean, I've got Easterns in Tennessee, and that's what I've hunted, 95% of my turkey hunting career, if you will. But I applied for a tag in South Dakota with my buddy Ben, and we ended up drawing the tag. And so the idea of being able to get the Merriam's off my list was a pretty cool idea. And then we started talking with Slayer and the crew over there about getting some turkey content. They just dropped some new turkey calls that absolutely rip, and I'm excited about them. So, but anyway, I was talking to them about getting some content for the new calls, and they were like, well, can you go to Florida? And I was like, well, if I go to Florida and I'm obviously going to hunt in Tennessee, and then I go to South Dakota, I'm one away from doing a freaking Grand Slam in one season. So what if we tried to do that? And so that's kind of how the whole thing started. Which I mean, I've not killed all 4 subspecies yet. I've killed Osceola before, and I've killed Eastern before, but I've not done Rio or Merriam's. So this is not only like a first time trying to do it all in one season, but just in general. So really looking forward to the rest of it. But yeah, so you can't kill all 4 if you don't kill the first one. And that is kind of where we're at right now. And going down to Florida and planning that was exciting, but there was a little bit, anxiety is the wrong word, but there's pressure, right? Because now I've kind of got this whole idea together, and I've pitched this idea to several different brands who are now involved in sponsoring this trip to get content out of it, right? So we're going to be posting all these videos on YouTube. But that all being said, it's like, man, if we don't get the first one, this is no longer a Grand Slam.
What's going on, guys? If you're planning a spring break visit to the Florida Panhandle, down there by the Gulf of America, then make sure you book a charter with Williamson Outfitters. From March to May, Williamson Outfitters offers amazing inshore fishing, awesome flounder gigging, epic hog hunting with dogs. They also have an incredible hunting lodge in East Point, Florida that's available. Spots fill up fast, so book today. Call or text 850-251-8650 or visit floridaducks.com. Mention you heard about them on this podcast and get 10% off.
Attempt. It's just a turkey tour or something else, which would still be cool, but so I was feeling an internal pressure. I need to kill a turkey.
And how many days did you have to do this in?
Yeah, so I drove down last Wednesday, and I hunted Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, or really half of the day Monday because I had to drive home. So 4.5 days really.
Yeah, that's pressure.
Yeah. And I mean, anybody who's ever hunted in Florida, to have that pressure, knowing how hard it is to hunt down there, and then how pressured a lot of that area is.
Just how hard an Osceola turkey is to shoot.
And not to mention the turkey, right? Yeah. Like the turkeys are challenging. So
yeah, they don't just do the Eastern thing so easy, do they?
No. So, and I have been fortunate enough to like be around some really good turkey hunters and learn some really good tactics. And, so I'm confident in my hunting ability, but still, I mean, even like the most talented turkey hunters go down to Florida and come back with nothing.
Correct.
So, there's a little bit of pressure with that.
Well, let's just, I mean, I don't want to interrupt your story, but let's just kind of set that. I mean, like 2 or 3 things, like what would you say, Matt? Like, why is it so difficult? I mean, I can say for one, this the only thing I would know about is the terrain that you're hunting is like a jungle at times.
Yeah. So the terrain is the hardest part, right? And some of that, like, depending on where you're hunting can change, right? But you're talking like mixed pine forest, like planted pines managed by the state. You're talking cypress swamps, and you're talking just palmettos, and some, if you're lucky, you get a field or a meadow or something like that, pasture or something like that. But they're kind of few and far between depending on where you're hunting, especially on public land.
It's so diverse. It's so diverse. I mean, that's the thing that blew me away is the first time I saw turkeys in a cypress swamp walking through there, I was like, that's a mud bird. What is that? And I was deer hunting, and I just couldn't. I thought that they would roost above it, but I didn't know that they would just like, I don't know if they were eating bugs or something. I don't know what they were doing, but they were just walking through there. It. Yeah, they don't care. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not afraid to get wet, that's for sure. And so I mean, like, I packed my waders in preparation. Didn't need to use them, but I mean, I was ready to go for it.
Sure.
But yeah, so the train's one of the things. The birds just in general are known to be less vocal, or a lot of people I've heard will say, they will say that birds are really sensitive to pressure. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in their head, and I can't prove any of those things, but they do not gobble as much as other turkeys that I've hunted, which has only been Eastern. I mean, and that makes it a lot harder, right? I mean, it's hard to hunt what you don't, when you don't know where they're at.
Sure.
You can't make a play on them. You can't move on them. And then you end up sitting there deer hunting, and that's not how I like to turkey hunt.
Right.
So it is a bit of a challenge, but I also think like some of that has to do with lack of tact in the woods as a, woodsman. And, like you guys will hear the story about the weekday hunts versus the Saturday hunt that we had out there on the public land. It's just wild. The difference we saw on Saturday, and it's pretty funny, but I mean, just crazy amounts of pressure. And the birds, they're aware of it. I mean,
sure.
I witnessed firsthand. We were working a bird. Well, I'll tell you guys the story. I'll start from the beginning of the story.
Yes.
But getting back to like the Osceola, I mean, it's the land, it's the pressure. It's just the bird is different.
Yeah.
And they're smaller too, so they can like sneak around and thick stuff. I mean, they just act a little bit different. Anyway, all that being said, I drove down there, and we picked a piece of public ground that had a lot of land that we were able to work. The last thing I wanted to do is show up and it's like, man, we've got like 1,000 acres. Like, I want thousands of acres. I want to be able to run around, especially if like one area is more pressured than another. Like, I want to be able to get away from people, because that's my least favorite thing, is calling in other people or another person ruining my hunt. So
sure.
We found a great property, and we camped out down there, built our campsite, and went on Wednesday night trying to just see if we could roost a bird. And I mean, it was just like all silent, no gobbles, no nothing. And from what I understand, that's pretty common for Osceolas.
Wait, let's back up a minute. You went out there and just camped out?
Yeah.
Dude, rebel. I love it. That's like some meat eater shit. I love it. That's good stuff.
Yeah, we had a little primitive campsite. It was great. I mean, cool. We were right in the middle of the WMA, and between like where we wanted to hunt and if we wanted to go back to camp and make a snack or make lunch or whatever. I mean, it would only take an extra like 10 minutes depending on where we were. So that's
cool. How many of us would just like, I want an Airbnb or a hotel, I mean, I just think there's something to be said about that. I think and I won't go down this whole rabbit hole. It's a whole nother topic conversation, but there's definitely something about being part of the woods and that whole experience. And sometimes, dude, it just go ahead. I love that. Yeah, I love that for you, is what Katie would say, Tristan.
Yeah.
I feel, it just feels right, feels like you're actually hunting.
Yeah.
So, we get out there, we go try to roost some birds, and to no luck. But we did find gobbler tracks and jake tracks and hen tracks all in the road. And then it didn't seem like there was a lot of traffic on the road either. Like the only tire prints we noticed in the sand and was my tire prints and these bird prints for that day. So it was like, man, this is probably a good area to start. So we just went back there in the morning and walked around, called a little bit, nothing responded, sat down for a little bit. It's like, well, if you're going to throw a call out there and nothing responds, you could be close to a bird, but you could not be close to a bird. Mm-hmm. You could have a bird coming to you, or you could be not. Usually in the morning, I don't think that's the case. Usually that a bird's just going to come in silent. If they don't have a hen, they'll probably let you know, but, that's what you hope for. But,
sure.
But usually, I mean, I think if a bird's not gobbling in the morning, they're probably henned up. And so, and that was probably the case that morning. We covered probably like 2 miles slowly over the course of a few hours and never struck a bird. So we took a break and we went back to camp, made some lunch, kind of got our afternoon plan together, and went over to another area that I had as kind of just a e-scouting pin. Like, I think we should go check this area out. Kind of close to some private land, kind of, you hope that maybe there's some birds that are kind of trading back and forth. That's one thing that I do frequently do. So we go out that way and we get in these woods, and man, if I knew what I knew, after the fact, we could have got into these woods a whole lot easier. And that's the thing with Florida, like that I just continued to realize, is like knowing the woods is huge in your turkey game. It matters in every other place that I've hunted, but it matters 10 times more in Florida.
Well, it's like that. I mean, I was related to, like, it's like no different than if me and my dad tried to come duck hunt, like the local spots where you and your buddies hunt for ducks. You know what I mean? Like, there's just no way we would. It would take days and days of just being out there and seeing what the birds are doing, and to really
knowing that historical information,
dial it in. So I always like to draw the conclusion, especially with the Arkansas public land thing. People are so, how they are about it, and it's like all those guys want to come turkey hunt in Florida too, so it's kind of like a double-edged sword. And it's like, that's just an argument for people to be cool with each other, because the Arkansas guys that come down to Florida are in, the local boys' backyards. They don't know what they're doing. And then the same thing when the Florida boys 14-hour road trip up to Arkansas and try to hunt the timber.
Yep. Let me explain this to you guys as an elderly man. There's 4 main pockets that you have to be a part of. 1, Floridians can use that against the duck hunters, right? They can use it against the Illinois deer hunters. They can use it against the Wyoming elk hunters, all right? That's the main pieces. But that's the funniest thing about it, is that if you're in one of those areas of those states of a major game animal, isn't it that way? You're just like, dude, you guys come here all the time for this, and I'm just trying to come over there for this.
Right.
For sure. I feel that way about turkey stuff in Tennessee. I mean, we have a lot of out-of-staters come in. And, they've changed some laws to kind of help preserve our population from the out-of-state hunters. But yeah. Well, we show up and dropping e-pens, you think like, hey, this is a good start, but you never know. But we get in these woods, right? And all of the sudden we're like bushwhacking. And then all of the sudden it's just like the prettiest turkey woods you've ever seen. And it's like live oaks and palmetto bushes. And I mean, it's just beautiful, really open understory. And I was like, there's gotta be turkeys back here. So, I've got my buddy Jay with me. He's helping film stuff, and I was like, man, I'm going to let off a call right here and let's just see what happens. And, I do like a few yelps, and it just immediately, like usually like you go, yelp, nothing. And you kind of get into it and maybe you might get a bird to fire off. I go, yelp. and this hen just gets pissed, and she's probably like 150 yards away from us, somewhere in that range. And so I hear her, and I was like, ooh, okay, we're in the zone.
Yeah.
And then I look at Jay, and we're kind of like figuring out where we should sit. And then I hear another hen that's like 30 yards to my left.
What?
That's just on the other side of these palmettos, right? And so we're like, oh, we really need to sit down like right now. And so we find there's this big live oak that we set up beside where both of us can sit next to each other. And we've got like this line of, if you can imagine, almost like a fence row of palmettos off of our left. And then the rest of the woods in front of me and to my right are just wide open. So I'm looking out here, and, you know, these hens kind of go back and forth, and I fool with them for a minute. But don't think anything else of it. Just like maybe there's some hens and maybe they'll pull another bird with them. Well, we're sitting there 5-10 minutes or so, and then all of a sudden we just hear a gobble.
Ooh.
And it's like 150 yards where that first hen that we heard was. And I'm like, oh, we're in the game. And
Oh,
I look at Jay, and we're just like, we finally heard a gobble. All right, we're hunting now. And so I call a little bit more, and nothing. I don't hear anything back.
It's in the teens that morning, and maybe you're chasing ducks or geese. But now it's September, and it's 85 degrees, and you're hunting early teal or geese. As a waterfowler, you need dependable weather protection that will not break the bank. Founded in 1996, Frog Togs is not only the leader in breathable wader technology, but a company you can depend on to keep you warm and dry, head to toe, no matter your hunting environment. Stay bone dry by using discount code ZD315 for 15% off not only your first purchase, like most discount codes, but how about every single purchase you make from now until December 31st, 2024?
And so I'm just like, well, I'm not going to do anything else. I'm just going to sit here. And so we sit there for another 5 minutes or so. And then I hear another gobble, but it's like 30 yards on the other side of the palmettos, just where that other hen was. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this bird is just sneaking on in here. And so at this point, I don't even call anymore. I'm just going to like see what happens.
Stop, Matt, stop. I need to stop for a second, because here's the visual I'm building. Me and Tristan are doing this. He's got the camera. Is your camera like camouflaged or anything, or is he just sitting super still with it? Like, that's always the concern, right? Is like, you got somebody filming with you and you got this high pressure situation. What does that look like? I mean, help us. I want to learn something here.
Yeah. So, I mean, it takes a lot of communication, right? And it also takes just thinking through your hide. So, Jay was running, the camera handheld instead of running a tripod.
Okay.
And that gives him a little more mobility and allows him to get tighter to the tree. Okay. So that's kind of the main thing right there. And then, so we've got Jay, he's got a handheld camera that's trying to get the kill shot. Mm-hmm. Now you don't always get it, just because everybody that's turkey hunted knows you don't always know what to expect. Yeah. So Jay's trying to get the kill shot. I've got a 360 camera in front of me that can see like 360 degrees around us.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I've got that, and then I've got an Insta360 Ace Pro, like a standard GoPro type thing as well. So we've got 3 cameras rolling. So that way, like, it doesn't all fall on one camera or Jay. And if Jay can't get the shot, like, it's not that big a deal as long as, one of the cameras gets it.
Sure.
So, and at the end of the day, everybody wants to see the kill shot, but, I think the more valuable thing, and it's kind of one of the things that we're doing with these videos, is showing the entire hunt and, it being a tool for people to be able to watch and learn something and go, okay, I can implement these tactics when I go to turkey hunt and hopefully be more successful.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Super cool.
So I care more about that than like getting a really good kill shot. Cause the hunt is more important to me than like the kill anyway. I mean, everybody wants to kill something, but anyway.
No, but if you put a checklist up and say, what did I get from this video? Yeah, everybody wants to see the kill shot. Everybody wants to see the animal harvested. But at the end of the day, how'd you do it? What did I learn from that video, man? I mean, that's what you're taking away from it, right?
100%.
Yeah,
And that's what I like. I've learned a lot about turkey hunting from watching really good turkey hunters hunt on YouTube.
Yeah.
Dave Owens, Shane Simpson. I love watching their videos because I learned something new a lot of the times watching their videos. You just see like, how did the turkey do it this time? How did it do it that time? And what you need to be prepared for. So,
sure.
So yeah, so we hear this gobble on the other side of the palmettos, and we're freaking out. Like, how is this happening? Like, less than 10 hours into the first day.
Wow.
And so Jay goes, I hear footsteps, and you can, and I was like, yeah, I hear them too. And you can just hear like step through the underbrush going through the palmettos. And I mean, if you've ever walked through palmettos, it's hard to walk through those things quietly. It sounds like you've like set off an alarm.
Right.
And so, but this bird is in those palmetto bushes, just like weaving in between. We can hear him stepping. And at this point now, I can hear the steps over my left shoulder going behind me. So I now like have to turn like 180 degrees turned around, and I'm facing like completely backwards and kind of not a great shooting situation. And Jay's like right on the other side of the tree from me, and he's now turned around too. So I'm turned around, and I'm not turned around for maybe like, it felt like 10 seconds. It might've been longer than that, but I'm turned around, and all of a sudden I just see a white and red head through the leaves of the palmettos, just about 6 feet off the end of my gun barrel.
No way.
Whoa.
It freaked me out so much. And I had like a split second where I could have shot, but in my head I was like working it all out, and I was like, well, I hadn't seen this bird yet. Also, I'm going to blow Jay's eardrums out if I shoot right now, because his head's just right there. So I was like, I'm going to wait. And so he goes on, and then maybe 5 minutes go by, and it's just nothing, like quiet. And what I don't know is happening is Jay is having a stare down with this bird. and I, like him and the bird are just staring at each other. And then finally the bird kind of walks off. Well, then Jay and I start conversing. I stand up, try to see if I can see it over the bushes, and I don't see it. And so I sit back down, and I'm like talking to Jay, and like over Jay's shoulder, I see the bird's head like pop back out, like further to our left now, like back in the open road. Or there's like a kind of a path that was going through the woods, and I was like, I see him. And then Jay's like, where? And I was like, don't move. And then the bird definitely saw me, but wasn't like sure. It didn't freak out or putt or anything. So he like went back again, and then the bird came back out at like 35-40 yards out in the complete open. And this is the first time I actually like got a full visual of the bird.
Yeah.
And I look at him, and he looks like a decent sized bird, but his beard is like maybe like 5-6 inches long. And I'm like gun up, safety off, like ready to shoot. And I look, and I'm like, man, I'm like pretty sure that's a Jake. And so I say to Jay, I'm not going to shoot him. And so we just like watched him walk around in the woods. I had made him gobble a couple other times, and we just had fun with him. And then let him ease off, and we let the woods quiet down, let the other birds get out of there. And then we eased out of the woods. And we talked about it, and it was like, well, that could have been a mature bird, but I never saw him strut. I couldn't see his hooks. There was just no like clear evidence. It was far enough away, like I couldn't even like really. I don't have the best eyesight. Jay could probably have known, but couldn't really even see his like wing patch enough to know like, yes, that's a gobbler. But maybe his beard rotted, whatever. But if I'm not sure, I'm not going to shoot. So, that was the first day, and man, that haunted me for 4 days, not shooting that bird.
All right, so
This feels like shoot the spike.
There's the Steve Rinella quote, which we face this every time we go to Illinois to deer hunt.
Yeah.
But it's that whole saying that's like, don't pass the deer on the first day that you're gonna regret, like you'll be happy with on the last
fifth day. Yeah.
But when hearing you say that, it's funny how many times that happens to us as hunters on these trips. You know,
dude. And let me just add that as you're saying that, I'm putting myself. I like to Maybe this is selfish, but I like to visually put myself in somebody's story when they're talking about it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to envision myself in that situation as a 53-year-old man. And dude, what resilience you guys showed in patience. That's the cred here. To me, is the big credit to you guys is how many people have shot that bird?
right?
You know what I mean? And
well, I know everybody at our camp would have because they were having a hard time.
Did you guys pull up the video footage and you're like, oh man, maybe we should have?
No, I actually haven't watched all of it yet.
Right on.
I really want to go watch the 360 footage and just watch this bird come right behind us.
That's going to be sweet.
Yeah, it's going to be cool because the camera's a little bit higher up, so it should be able to see right over the bushes and see the bird sneaking through.
That's so cool. What a great idea.
Yeah, well, I stole it from somebody else, so I can't claim it. But yeah, so that was our first day, and honestly, like I didn't feel bad about passing it at first. You know, like I've shot enough turkeys. I've got like the killing out of my blood. And I'm like, man, I really care. Again, what I said before, I care about the hunt. I want to shoot a mature bird because I think that.
Do you want coffee that doesn't suck? Get the Duck. Dirty Duck coffee is made specifically for the waterfowl enthusiast. Enjoy flavors like Morning Wood, Dark Dynasty, Cinnamon Teal Snickerdoodle, and First Flight to unlock the flavor that you'll enjoy in the blind for years to come. Our friends at Dirty Duck Coffee Company are now offering all Zero Duck 30 followers a 15% discount when you use code ZeroDuck15 on your next order.
It's the right thing to do for what I do. I don't need to just kill something to kill something. I want to shoot the turkey I want to shoot, right? Mm-hmm. And you guys understand that, as probably a lot of people listening do. Sure.
No, there's definitely a maturity thing that goes into that. And no, we can go down that whole rabbit hole another time. But for sure, that's an important part.
Well, so I pass on it, and I mean it's the first day, right? And I'm thinking, man, we just got into it within the first few hours of this trip. Like we're gonna have more opportunities. Mm-hmm. So we get back after it the next day, and I would say most of the days the morning was like quiet. We didn't hear birds. We didn't get a gobble. I don't think we got a gobble until after probably 9 a.m. at the earliest. But we got on birds every day we were out there on the public. We went in probably further than most people did. And then we also, like, I've seen a lot of people go out there and they're just like riding down the main road and like calling. But we park the truck and drive in, or we would drive down some like long roads that I knew like some of these guys with their big 1500 weren't going to get down, and my little Ranger was going to get down.
There you go.
And so we went a ways back there in a couple places. And the second day we got on a gobbler, and there's so much that you don't know until you know it afterwards, right? In the middle of the day, we were targeting the cypress bottoms because it was like 80 degrees in the hottest part of the day. And in those bottoms, if you've ever been in them, you get in there, it's like 10 degrees cooler. And that's where those birds want to be when it's not hot, or when it is hot, right? Mm-hmm. They want to get cool. They want to stay in the shade and whatever. So targeting these bottoms, and we're finding little places where it's like, all right, there's a bottom on our right and our left side. So we're going to call here, and maybe a bird could fire off on our left or right. So we did that. The second day we got on a bird, and he just never ended up coming in, and come to find out, it was like, oh, you know what? I wouldn't have got out of that bottom through all this thick stuff either. I don't blame him. And same thing happened the third day. We got on a bird, and we were within maybe 200 yards of him. And I thought for sure we were at kind of like a pretty crossing point from one bottom to the next with like a pretty heavy game trail. And I thought he'd just come slip right out of that. But we weren't sitting in the right spot, and he did not come out of that bottom. So, but there was no way for us to get in there without getting seen or heard. So just kind of the way it is. And, I know now, next year when I go out there to hunt in the same spot, I know how to get into that bottom.
Yeah.
So we tried, we hunted at different places every day. Cause what I know, it's helpful to spend time in the same places, but at the same time, if you spend too much time in one place, I know I'll get caught up in what I know and not make good decisions. I'll just make the same decisions or I'll get caught up in what I know, and it'll keep me from doing something risky, which might be what I need to do. Mm-hmm. So I like hunting in new spots. So every day we kind of tried something new, and maybe we'd revisit.
What an interesting perspective. I think it's a very interesting perspective, you bringing that up, because really, basically what you're saying is that you're hammering too much in this one area, is what it comes down to. And,
for sure.
Yeah, no, interesting perspective. I just think it's key to note that. I just feel like I added another little arrow to the quiver.
Well, I think
just the thought process, thinking of it, and like you just explained it.
One thing I always say, Matt, in particular with turkey hunting, just because it's the most recent thing that we've tried to tackle. With everything, it's I call it your hunting toolbox, and you called it woodsmanship earlier, and that tact. But you learn what you can get away with when you can make those calculated risks. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to deer hunting, I can I know what that deer's almost thinking because of the body language and the stuff like that.
Yes.
And I know where my wind's blowing and what I can get away with, when I can pull my bow back, all that kind of stuff. But with turkey hunting in particular, and still with duck hunting too, it's a lot more challenging for me just because I didn't grow up doing that. To know when to take those risks,
Oh yeah. Well, I learned, I learned this thought from another guy. His name's Fred Hill, and some people might know who he is. Really good turkey hunter.
I've heard his name in, I think a 24/7 hunt song.
Yeah. So, in the song they call him the ghost of the woods, and man, that dude can sneak. I've got a couple stories about that, but so when I was probably second year turkey hunter probably, and I'd been hunting this area and over and over and over and over again, and I could just never do it. I could never connect. There was several mature birds in there, and I've seen them gotten really close. And at that time too, I was I wasn't shooting TSS. I didn't have the fancy choke. I'm shooting number 6 lead shot. I need a good shot at a bird. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to be taking a poke, right?
Right.
But anyway, so I call Fred and I'm listen, man, I am just beating my head against the wall in this area. Can you come out there and maybe help me figure it out? He said, yeah, sounds good. And so, we get out there in the woods. I'll spare some details cause it's a long story. We get out there in the woods and I'm right here on the map. This is where the birds are. And I'm showing him this pin right here. This is where the birds are. And he's okay. We start walking in, and he was walking so slow. And so slow that I was about to run into him every once in a while. It's hard for me to slow down, and he would stop and then he would call, and I'm dude, we're not even close to the pen. I know we need to get back here to walk another mile before we're going to find a turkey. But he approached it very differently than I did. A turkey could be around every corner. And so I took that to heart, and just watched everything he did, from the way that he had approached his calling, the types of calls he threw out there, the way he walked through the woods. And that day we get back there, and we do get back to where I'd been seeing the turkeys, and he lets off a call, and we hear a gobble. And he's like, all right, let's move up a little further. And we get up a little further, and he calls again. And we hear another gobble, but it's further away. And then we hear another gobble, but it's the same gobble we heard before. And so now we're talking about like several birds. And we're up in these woods, and he's like, all right, you sit down. I'm going to get back behind you a little bit, and I'm just going to call a little bit more. And, hopefully we can pull them in here. Well, Fred, he sits back and calls, and maybe in like less than 10 minutes, I've got birds gobbling at like 20 yards that I can't see yet.
Oh my God.
And it's just like, they're double gobbling on top of each other. Like just the most blood pumping experience I had to date in the turkey woods. And, comes to it. Like, I'm like, all right, here comes these birds, and then both of them pop up, and I had to wait, honestly, because they were so close and tight to each other. And one jumps up on a log, and I shoot it, and that was that. It was really cool.
Wow,
experience.
That's awesome,
but I learned, man, if this is the same place, the conditions were very similar, but the approach was different, and we harvested a bird. And so I took that to heart, and I try not to get too caught up in like what I know, because it will screw you up sometimes. And it's same with duck hunting, same with deer hunting,
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
that's a great story, man.
Yeah. I love that kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that has helped me become a better turkey hunter, and the stuff I like to share with other people, because that was more helpful to me than practicing a call or whatever.
Sure.
So, but back to Florida, we get 2 days in, and we've been on birds, but they just we never finished the deal, because it's all because of the terrain, right? We don't know the woods well enough to make the best move on the bird that we had to make in the moment. And so I put all those back in my catalog, and I'm going to take that next time I go out there. Well, it gets to Saturday, and we decide, you know what, we're going to go to this one area. We had seen that evening a tom track, or no, the day before, we saw the tom that we were chasing. We saw his track cross the road through my tire track before 9 a.m. So we knew he was crossing this road and going into this other bottom that we were hunting. So they were like, let's get ahead of him in his whole little plan. Hopefully he does his routine the same, because they don't always do that the same. But so we get in this area where we think he's crossing the road, down in this real pretty bottom, and we get sitting in there, and we hear a bird on a tree gobbling. And that was the first time the whole trip we had heard a bird gobble, before 9 a.m. So I'm like, all right, we're in the right spot. So we get a little bit further in the bottom, but we can still see the road. And, at this point, I still hadn't called yet. I'm not trying to call at the bird. We're far enough away. We're probably 800 yards away. But like the sound carries through that bottom. So we can tell he's way out there, but we're in the right spot, and he's going to come through here. Well, maybe an hour or so goes by, and we've seen lots of cars driving down the road. And we're just like praying that like no one comes like walking in, because they don't know that we're here. We're actually parked on the opposite side of the road, so they could totally just come trampling in here. And so
the Hoosiers.
Oh yeah. So we're sitting there, and I let out a call, and bird gobbles, and he's in the bottom with us. Only he's cut the distance in half, so I would guess he was probably like 400, in between like 300, 400 yards away. So we're like in the zone, and he's coming our way. And so I'm thinking it's only a matter of time. We're going to be staring at this bird. There's no way he's not going to come right through here. His tracks are right here. The woods are so pretty, all of this. And then, like, starting from that point, when we heard him gobble the second time, or the first time on the ground, really, it was like every 20 minutes did someone come riding down the road, and they would stop and they would call real badly. And then they would go another 100 to 200 yards and call real badly again. And once that like sequence started happening, 20 minutes, here comes somebody calling. 20 minutes, here comes somebody calling.
No kidding.
Wow.
And it would be like 20 minutes, here comes someone calling. This guy stopped in the road. Why did he stop? Is he watching a turkey cross the road? No. There's a guy on an e-bike coming the other way, and he stops and calls just where the other guy just called. And he doesn't know this. So I'm sitting here like going, golly, this is crazy. And the guy on the e-bike, we nicknamed him E-Bike Eddie. And dude, that guy was just like rolling around, driving down every road that you could think of, and he was screwing up not only his hunt but everybody else's hunt. And I hope he hears this.
Yeah.
But
E-Bike Eddie.
E-Bike Eddie.
You're toast on social media, bro.
Gosh, man. But anybody who's hunted Florida knows about the e-bikers, dude. I think they can be a great tool, but I think people ride them more than they should. So anyway, the bird quits gobbling, and maybe he's coming our direction still, but with all the pressure coming from the road, I took it like he's probably gone the other way now, or he's just going to stay in this bottom because it's nice and safe in there, and there's no one getting in there without him knowing about it.
Mm-hmm.
So we went and got on the other side of him, and that didn't work. So I had made a deal with Jay. Jay has some private land, and Jay was like, he wanted to start the trip going to his private land. I was like, listen, man, I got to try this public thing. Like, I really want to do it.
Yeah. And
so we went and did that. And I told him, as if we haven't killed by noon on Saturday, let's roll up to your place and see if we can kill a bird. So we got to that point and we're like, man, let's just get out of here. I don't want to spend the rest of my time here being frustrated at other people.
Sure.
Right.
And so it's like, we can go somewhere else. We know there's turkeys there. And we're only going to be dealing with our own dumb decisions. So we drive up to Jay's place a little north of where we were. And, we in the woods that evening, and come to find out we missed a tom. He'd seen a tom on camera where we were sitting 30 minutes before we got there.
Oh shoot.
So it's like, man, oh man. But so we missed that opportunity, and then Sunday it just rained all day, and we just we hunkered down and we sat in a high traffic area for birds for a long time, which if you know me, I hate to do that. And that's the last thing I want to do. And I'm like, well, this is our best chance today. This is what we have to do. And so we did it and never saw a turkey. And then on our way out that day, we saw a tom on the road, and he saw us as well. And it was very unfortunate. And he ran off into the woods, and I was like, well, that's over. And then we get out to this field that they had just cut, and I see another tom out there that I think I take it that he was breeding a hen, because we saw a hen walk off too. And it had to have been a different tom than the one that we spooked in the woods. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, all right, there's birds here. Tomorrow's another day, but tomorrow's my last day. And so it gets to Monday morning, and Jay and we split up in the morning. Like, you go to the west side of the property, I'll sit on the east side, and we'll both listen and see if we can just pinpoint something. Well, he hears a bird on the west side of the property, so I run off over there and to go meet him, and we set up within like 300-400 yards of where the roost was. There wasn't really any way to get closer, and the bird was roosted also on another property. So we just did what we could do, right? Sure. Well, we call, we sit for a while, nothing. Once the bird hits the ground, he's silent. And the way he gobbled, like Jay was telling me, he gobbled, and then he heard him double gobble on the tree and didn't hear any other birds. And I was like, dude, that bird's most likely got a hen with him. So there's nothing we're going to do for a little bit. with this bird. So we ease off back into the rest of his woods, and we start doing kind of what Fred taught me to do, right? And we're just sneaking through, and every once in a while we'll let off a call, see if we strike something up, maybe sit down for 30 minutes or so and just see what happens.
Kind of like still hunting.
Right. Yeah. Right. I mean, you don't know what's around any corner, and just because a bird doesn't gobble does not mean that there's not a bird there.
Right.
And so we're sneaking through, and it gets to the point where it's 11 o'clock probably, and we had covered almost the entire block of woods and still hadn't heard a bird gobble. And I'm starting to get like, all right, Jay, we're gonna have to get a little more aggressive here, because I have to leave at 2 p.m. and man, it's 11. So I was like, let's get a little more aggressive. So we kind of pick up the pace, and we call in one spot on this little road, edge of this road, and don't hear it gobble. Well, then we sit there for a second, nothing. We go up another maybe like 300 yards to this other crossing area where Jay says that the turkeys cross through. And I lit off another call, and I hear a gobble right where we just were, like right behind us. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's not far. So we kind of, split the difference of our distance between that bird and where we just were. And we just sat down. Well, I sit there, I hear the bird gobble again, and he's kind of in the same area. So I do some like soft calling, scratching the pine straw, whatever. And, he gobbles again. But then, so I'm thinking like, man, we're about to kill this bird. This is great. Like, this is what you want to happen. And when he gobbles again, I hear another gobbler that sounds like it's out in one of these fields. And as soon as that other gobbler out in the field struck, this other one shut up. And so Jay and I started talking, like, man, that bird in the field is probably the dominant bird, and he just scared little buddy up here in the woods. And I don't know if we're gonna have a chance at him now. And then I call again, and I hear the field bird gobble, and I hear the bird that we were on gobble, and he's now further away from us. So I'm like, we have to do something. So I look at Jay, and I was like, let's book it. We're on the east side of the property now. Let's run. We're gonna sneak. we're gonna sneak a second. Let's get on this main road where we know like these birds are nowhere close to it, and we're gonna run to the west side of the property and get on the other side of these turkeys. So Jay's like, all right, and I was like, let's do it. And we get in the path, and he's like, we need to run, like actually run. And I was like, yeah, that's what I meant. And so like we ran like for just over half a mile and got on the other side of the property.
Wow.
And we get up in the woods, maybe 50 yards from where we set up first thing that morning. And I'm looking at OnX, and I'm like, I've got pins on where I thought these birds were. And I'm like, all right, we've got to be like within 300 yards of both of these turkeys right now. So we find a good spot to sit, and I call and just hear nothing. And I was like, really? And Jay's like, man, it might be over. Like maybe we waited too long to call. Maybe it took us too long to get over here. And I was like, no, they're here. They heard us. Let's just sit down and see what happens. And so we sit down, and we're facing towards the east, right? And we got the property line behind us on the west. Mm-hmm. And we're sitting there for maybe like 10 minutes. And Jay goes, I just got a picture on my trail camera. I'm like, okay, which camera? And he said, the one behind us. And I said, where behind us? And he said, like almost right behind us, like 200 yards, kind of like off of our right shoulder. Wow. And I was like, okay, what's on the camera? And he said, it's a longbeard. I'm like, okay. I'm like, when was the picture taken? He said, right now. I'm like, okay. So we just immediately were like, all right, I'm trying to turn around and like not make too much noise, but like I need to get facing the other direction, because there's no way I'm going to be shooting off my right shoulder. So we get situated, and I've got this awful like brushy tree right next to me that like there's no way I'm going to shoot to my right. But within like 5 minutes, all of a sudden we just start to hear the turkey drumming, but we can't see him. And
I mean, how close do you got to be to hear him drumming?
Some people, I don't have the best hearing coming from like the music world. I've damaged my hearing a bit, but for me, like I have not heard a turkey drum this much. And I knew like, if I'm hearing him like this loud,
yeah,
he's got to be like within 50 yards.
Yeah, it's got to be close, I would think. Yeah.
And so, I mean, it was just for 20 minutes, we sat there listening to this bird drum. And we couldn't see him. Oh. And it was just boom, boom. And it was just constantly over and over. And Jay and I are just like laughing. We're having the best time just listening to this. And I'm like, surely at some point soon, like he's just all of a sudden going to appear and we're going to see him. And finally, after 20 minutes or so, we catch a peek of his head through some like thick brush, this big leafy green tree. And there's just I can tell it's like 45, maybe 50 yards. Like it's a out there kind of shot through brush that I'm not going to take.
Yeah.
And also I couldn't move because I had this freaking tree right on my right shoulder. So there's no way I'm going to like get there with him looking at me anyway.
Yeah.
So I told Jay, I was like, let's just see what he does. And so he goes back to the left behind that leafy bush and goes back to his little area where we couldn't see him. And just a couple seconds later, he comes out to the left and I see him and Jay goes, oh, look, there he is coming from the left. And that bird must have seen us both see him. And he goes from like real relaxed walking through the woods to all of a sudden like, uh-oh. And he putts once and I shot him right in the head.
Wow, yeah, dude. No chance, bro. Like
no,
like no checking with the cameraman. You got the record button on or anything. It's gonna happen.
No.
Wow.
After all of that, it was like, man, we like I have to take the shot.
Right.
And I actually looked through the footage earlier today and I don't think Jay got like the best kill shot, but you can see it on the other two cameras reasonably well. But you can really see like in a turkey hunting situation, trying to film it is so hard, as you brought up earlier, Tony. And like there's so much that has to go right, especially if you're not like hunting with decoys in like
a field.
A field, like, you know, that's where you get your pretty turkey hunting footage. But like if you're hunting turkeys in the woods, it's a different situation and you just don't know where they're going to come from.
No, isn't that interesting though? I mean, real quick about like compared to, let's say, deer hunting in Montana, where you can get out and glass the Milk River and see exactly where the deer are traveling every day, right?
Yeah.
Versus being in Florida deer hunting, bro, we can talk about that a whole nother time. I mean, it's hunting them in a jungle at times, you know? So there's just a big contrast, a difference of where you're hunting, the species you're hunting, all that. And for it to be such a tough damn bird, and you guys go literally the full length of span of time that you have, bro, what was the exhilaration like? You guys had to have been flipping out, acting like a couple idiots.
Oh yeah. Well, I'd turn around and I'd, fist bump Jay and I'm like, dude, what a freaking buzzer beater. Like,
wow.
I mean, I shot the bird like right after noon. And, so that gave us time to go like take pictures and wrap up camp and all that kind of stuff. And, get on the road. So it was kind of the perfect situation.
You're like, I swear it really was the last day.
Right. Exactly. Like we always talk about one of the main things that we video the way we do and show the stuff that we show. And it's one thing I really appreciate Steve Ranella for is that it's the reality of hunting. Right. And when I saw the TV getting so commercialized with, no way could every one of these guys shoot the biggest buck of their life on the last day of the hunt. I mean, come on. All right. Yeah. There's a little, but for you guys to truly experience that authentically, there's not a single person that would listen to this podcast and say he's full of shit. Right? Because that's
I hope not.
That's an incredible story, man. That's man, I'm jealous.
Well, it was an awesome experience, and I'm thankful for it. So
that's awesome, man. Go into a little bit, the people that are, you talked about kind of the goal here with what you're doing this turkey season, but the people that are helping support this, specifically Slayer and kind of your relationship with Slayer and, just a little bit of background on the company and stuff. I mean, I think with you being... obviously you working with them means that you think highly of them, and just give them a plug, man.
Yeah. So, Slayer was honestly one of the first companies to give me a shot, as far as just professional photo work and trusting me with their money. Mm-hmm. And, anybody that's tried to sell themselves ever before knows that it means a lot when someone decides to trust you with that.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I've from day one, I really respected them. The owner, Bill Ayer, a lot of people don't know that. I'll tell you, the guys, this is a little insight. Slayer, everybody thinks Slayer, bloodthirsty, killing stuff. Bill's last name is Ayer, Ayer. And his wife's name is Stephanie. Her middle name is Lynn. The company's actually named after Stephanie Lynn Ayer, S.L. Ayer, which is what became Slayer. And Bill just happened to be a little bit of a metalhead, so it all worked out. But they're just like the company is more about family, and Bill comes from a family of woodworkers. Like his grandfather came from Italy. They were shoemakers, they were furniture makers, they did all kinds of stuff like this. And so Bill got into making calls, doing something with his hands, and started the company after he got out of the software business. And he loves to make calls, but also loves to help people who maybe have a harder time in the woods. He wants to help people have a better experience, right? So like one of their biggest products they created is an elk bugle that you can do. It sounds like a mouth reed because it is a mouth reed, but you can operate it with your fingers. So if you can't operate a mouth reed, you can just do a little push button thing, which is pretty awesome.
That is pretty cool.
So he's like pretty innovative dude, and I think he's a super cool dude, and makes really good duck calls too. That's how he got started. And then now they're really revamping the turkey line, and they've got a new call called the Gobbler Slayer that it was kind of a similar situation trying to make a mouth reed kind of deal, which has just turned into, it actually is like a multi-use shot call, if you will, like trying to do crow calls, trying to do coyote howls, trying to do a gobble on it. You can do all of that with this new call.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so they're doing some really cool stuff. So they, when we started dreaming about this, we're like, all right, let's film all these and let's build up a some hunt videos to throw up on the YouTube, and then we'll make like a little film out of it. And the big thing, like I think is important for just like the hunting industry in general right now, is what we need to be thinking about is the next generation.
Yeah.
And like what we're doing and the community that we're building and pouring into and how we're affecting, because I think a lot of people take that kind of stuff for granted, but we're absolutely, the next generation is impressionable, and we have a duty to make sure they're going after it the right way, so that my kids' kids and maybe their kids get to experience all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Kind of the thought behind doing these videos, there's lots of hunt videos on YouTube, but Slayer kind of has a unique audience. We've captured a lot of folks who are maybe late onset hunters, or people who just like haven't had mentors or whatever, or they didn't think they could do it because they didn't have the skills to use the tools that were currently available. Well, now we've got a community of people who we're encouraging to get out in the woods and spend more time and be successful increase their odds of success. And so that's the whole goal behind this whole series, if you will. And so now we've got some other brands involved and potentially some other companies that are thinking about it and considering joining us. But I like I said earlier, I like to work with people I like. I like to work with companies that I appreciate their products and their products are good products, because I don't want to try to like take photos and make something look good that sucks. So that makes my job a lot easier if I actually think the product's cool. So we've got Migra Ammunitions that they're involved in this. They're providing all the ammo, and we're going to do some collaboration on content and all of that. I absolutely love them. They're salt of the earth people. Some of my favorite people in the industry. And if you ever meet them, any of the guys associated with the company, you'll think the same. And then we've got another company called Alclair Outdoors. And what they do is they make custom fit hearing protection. And coming from the audio world, being a music producer, being a guitar player, I mentioned earlier, my hearing's kind of not great, especially my left ear. And I'm really big on like protecting hearing. If you go duck hunt with me, you'll never see me without hearing protection.
Sure.
And even turkey hunting, I'm very serious because my left ear has tinnitus and it's super sensitive. Like even like you clapping too close to my ear will like set it off. And it's like, it feels like in my head, like it's like this reaction. A bomb could have gone off next to me. It sucks. So I really protect. I try to protect my ears.
Scary crap, dude. I mean, I got tinnitus from. I mean, I was on an aircraft carrier, so I mean, you know, I mean,
it's serious.
And God knows that I haven't protected my hearing like I should have several times. You know, with guns and stuff in the man. Yeah, it scares you whenever you have an episode happen when it's too close, or you accidentally do that to somebody else, and man, it's so important. It's so important.
Well, and I mean, like I take it for granted now, like always having the hearing protection, right? Because I know I'm always safe, even if somebody like wants to shoot right past my head, which I don't hunt with a lot of people that would do that, but you know, it happens sometimes. I know I'm like protected, and I'm not gonna.
I'm never sitting next to you in the blind.
my head's not gonna get run.
I'm just kidding.
I won't ring ears, I promise.
No, we hunt 10 and 2, so
yeah. So it's just a safety thing.
Sure.
But yeah, so they're involved in this project, and what I use in duck hunting and in turkey hunting is I use their silicone custom molds, and so it's a silicone earpiece that goes right into your ear. It's custom molded to your ear, right? It fits only in your ear, and I run those with no filter. So you can get a filter. They sell them with like a 10 dB filter or a minus 10 dB filter, a minus 20 dB filter, and then you can buy it with no filter. So for duck hunting and for for turkey hunting, I run that. I don't put the turkey earplugs in until I sit down, just so I can hear a gobble, if it's further out and, you know, make a right move. But once I sit down, those things are going in, and I'm pretty meticulous about it. But I wear them the whole time while I'm duck hunting, and I forget they're in. I can still hear myself call really well, and they're really comfortable. They don't fall out like some foamies do. They're great. And they also have, All Clear has a what they call active hearing protection. So what that means is kind of like a hearing aid, right? You're throwing these things in here, and it's got a microphone built in, so you can hear everything like normal, and then but you can also hear things more than normal, like super hearing almost. And I've actually used them a couple times turkey hunting, and I thought a bird was like 100 yards away, and he was like 500 yards away. So
wow.
So you got to be careful, like, you know, just strategically. But I kind of, what I want to do, and I'm going to try to test this some this season, is use them to locate birds. And like when we're looking for birds or trying to roost birds or whatever, I would probably be able to hear a gobbler that you couldn't hear with your normal ear. So we're going to try to do that. But yeah, so those are some of the brands that are involved in this. Banded is involved as well. They've provided all of the clothing, shirts, pants, so on, and they also sent some of their new decoys. Now I don't hunt with decoys a lot, but they sent some of those, and when the time is right, we may use them. We did try to use them in Florida on the rainy day, but again, you guys heard how that went. Sure. But and we can talk about decoy strategy too if you guys want to, but that it could be a different thing.
Oh man, we could do a whole podcast on that one.
But and then lastly, so far we've got another brand called Sheep Feet. And Sheep Feet's based out of Utah, near Salt Lake City, and they make going into taking care of your body, right? We were talking about hearing protection. Sheep Feet make custom insoles for the hunter. So they're kind of pushing more towards the hiker, the elk hunter, all of that kind of stuff. But
I think I saw you post about this.
Oh, you for sure did, because I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
And it makes so much common sense about taking care of your feet.
Oh yeah, well, dude, I mean, like
you're on them all the time.
Oh, 100%. And like you're taking care of your feet, but you're taking care of your back. Yeah. You're taking care of a lot of other things. And you know, like you put some rubber boots on that you need in Florida.
Yeah.
Like those things suck as far as just support go.
100%.
So I threw these Sheep Feet in there. They've got it's crazy, guys. Like if you got an iPhone, you got face recognition, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so they've got this app. It literally scans the bottom of your feet with that face camera on your phone, and it takes all these like distance points, and then it sends it into their little software, and then they send you a custom insole that fits only your foot perfectly.
That's wild.
Isn't that crazy?
That is so cool.
So when I met them at Pheasant Fest this year, and Caleb, he like scanned my foot in, and we got those in, and I've got them in my rubber boots, and I've got them in my leather crispy boots too. And man, like I'll tell you this, like I hate walking in rubber boots. We walked 15,000 to 18,000 steps every day in Florida.
Yeah, that's and a good, 6-7 miles probably.
Yeah, and not once was I like, man, this sucks.
Mm-hmm.
They made a huge difference, and I'm a nerd about this, and people who haven't experienced good socks will not understand it. But the socks that they make are fantastic as well. They're actually made for your right and left foot differently, as opposed to just one big tube.
Well, everybody knows about how important socks are if you watch Forrest Gump.
Especially in Florida.
That's the truth right there.
You get gangrene in Florida, bro.
Oh, bro, for sure, man. But
with those rubber boots, you need some good socks.
Man, for sure. Well, Matt, we're going to be super excited to follow this journey on video when you guys come out with it. And I don't know if you'll be posting updates on your journey or anything like that, but definitely, man, keep me interested in if we can be selfishly involved and understanding where you're going with, like, number 3, baby, or something like that, man. Dude, text us, please.
Oh, I'll definitely keep you guys in the loop.
Because we'll have you back on at the end of this journey, and I can't wait to explore that with you.
Yeah, we can talk all about it. I head to Texas literally tomorrow to go hunt Rios, which is a first for me. So I'll be in Central Texas, and it's gonna be a cool experience. I just talked to the guy I'm gonna be with out there, and he says that there's a lot of birds, so hopefully it goes well.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, good luck, safe travels, you guys. And Matt, where can everybody follow your journey at and learn more about you?
Yeah, so if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's of the field with underscores in between the words. I've got a website, the MC Image. If you want to look into that, you can see all the things that I need to update because my website needs an update. And then I'm on Facebook as well. But yeah, feel free. I've said it, I think, in every podcast I've done with you guys, but like, I'm an open book. If anybody wants to reach out to me, please reach out to me. Shoot me a message if you want to talk about turkey hunting. If you want to pick my brain on that, shoot me a message and I'll hop on the phone with you and we can talk about whatever I know. If I can help you, I'd love to help you.
Man, you don't get that. You don't get that. Listen, if you're a new person and you're just sitting there going, man, I'm just excited about what I hear about those guys talking about. Y'all, this is truly a person that's going to give you his time as he has it. And Matt, thank you so much. We appreciate that.
Yeah. I'll plug one more thing. You just reminded me of it. Mm-hmm. Slayer, I have worked with them to create a calling instructional series for people who don't have a mentor, right? Like, you've got the internet and you go on YouTube and you search how to blow a duck call, or how do I do this, or how to use a turkey call, or how to whatever. And there's a lot of information and a lot of it doesn't actually help you. And a lot of it is differing. And so what we did is we built a whole program, and it's called Call the Wild. And it's got duck hunting from basic to intermediate skills. It's got turkey hunting. Now that's what we just released. And then it's got elk calling and goose calling. So it's got a lot of resources. It's a subscription, yearly subscription, and you get access to all of that. And we're going to continue to add more exclusive content onto that platform. But if you are just getting into stuff, again, reach out to me. But if you're wanting to just practice calling and get into that side of things, that's an awesome resource. I love it. I'm really excited about it. Really proud of what we've put together.
That's awesome, man. I'm going to check it out myself. You got me hooked. I just got sold on a commercial.
Yeah. Well, sounds good, Matt. Well, we really appreciate it, man. This is a blast, and it's always crazy how quickly like an hour 15, hour and 20 minutes goes by.
I know.
But we'll definitely do it again, and looking forward to the day. We've met in person, thankfully, which is more than a lot of other people that we have on the podcast. But one of these days, we're going to connect on a hunt.
Yep. No, birds of a feather flock together.
If you guys want to come shoot a turkey up here next year, let's set a date, and I'd love to take you guys up here.
That'd be awesome, man. Just hanging out would be great.
Yeah,
man, it's one hell of a life.
All righty, Matt. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Take care. Have a good night. Safe travels, bro.
All right.
I've been southbound, I've been hellbound, riding on the midnight train. Going too fast now, think I'll slow down, standing in the pouring rain.